Good morning, my friends. This is the Leafs Convo podcast for Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. VanguardNE.ca. I'm Norman James, coming to you from London, Ontario, Canada. As always, joined by my podcast partner in crime, the legendary, the one and only, the effervescent, the great one, Michael Piaggello in Cheektowaga, New York. Michael, the Leafs a 3-2 winner in Game 3 in this series with the dastardly Boston Bruins. I'll tell you what. When I think of playoff hockey and what I want to see from my team, I got it last night.
Good morning, Norman. What the Leafs needed in Game 3 was for their big guys to step up. I think we said in the pre-game or the pre-show yesterday, we needed Austin Matthews to score. They needed everybody just to kick in a little more effort, a little more energy, and I think you saw that last night. I mean, they really stepped up, especially a couple key players. I mean, Mitch Marner, the blocked shot, the two blocked shots at the end of the third period with seconds remaining, and the reaction of the team afterward. If you see the video out there that I retweeted last night, everybody basically hugged him, and then Jake Muzzin came up and picked him up. I mean, there was just complete joy there for the effort of Mitch Marner. And the thing is, it's like Mitch Marner, and I don't think he's going to end up being the captain of this team, but he's turned out to be a leader on this team. And, the effort last night with the assist on the Matthews goal on the power play and that performance as a penalty killer and blocking the shots were
OG's
awesome.
Converse, those new to the Leafs Convo podcast, welcome, by the way. Let us know inside the YouTube comment section how what Mitch Marner did and the team did as a whole is propelling you through today. How excited are you about what you saw last night? How has it added an extra jump to your step today? Or are you trying to temper all of last night's excitement with the reality that this is probably going to be a 7-game series with the Boston Bruins? Mitch Marner, 23-plus minutes in ice time last night, Michael. These guys create their reputations in the regular season. They solidify them and take them to the next level in the playoffs. You can tell Freddie Anderson wants to win a Stanley Cup. He's ready to play. Mitch Marner's another one of those guys who is rising to the moment, Mike, and we can't get ahead of ourselves. But if these individual efforts continue to happen and more of these guys start buying into the process here, this is going to be a lengthy series with Boston. And God forbid the Leafs get through, whoever they're going to play next could be in deep trouble. What I'm saying is I'm excited to see these guys begin to buy into what the playoffs are all about, one after another. And when you get enough of these cats in playoff mode, going all out, doing what it takes to win battles, score goals, make hits, do the extra effort to win games, that's certainly what it's all about. Let's not forget now, we are still in the process of watching this team evolve into a Stanley Cup winner.
Yeah, I was going to say this. There's a cautionary tale here because we said similar things about them after Game 1 and the way they played, and then we saw what happened in Game 2, and Boston is wholly capable of responding. Now, the thing last night that the Leafs got in terms of things that were different from previous games is you got genuine contribution from the fourth line. Now, okay, I'm not destroying Freddie Gauthier, but it was mostly Tyler Ennis and Trevor Moore. The speed that those guys, the tenacity that they showed, Ennis inserted because Kadri got suspended for the rest of the series, and he makes that play, stealing the puck from the Bruins defenseman and getting a shot on goal, and then eventually Moore cashes in the Morgan Riley rebound. I mean, the lead only lasted 52 seconds, but to get anything out of that fourth line, and they got a lot of effort and a lot of ice time out of them. It wasn't a ton, but it was enough, and Babcock was able to pick his spots with them that I think they provided the energy that got the team going.
Gauthier is the facilitator in a lot of ways as the center iceman for Ennis and Moore. Those guys are diggers. They They seek the puck out. They go get the puck, no matter what's in the way, no matter what it costs, no matter what's at stake. Those guys do what they have to do. Tyler Ennis, he's been around the block. He understands that these playoff opportunities could be few and far between, considering where he's at. And Trevor Moore, if you watch the post game with Kyle Bukauskas after the Leafs win last night, I mean, he's a kid in the candy store. He's just excited to be there. I mean, he won a Calder Cup with the Marlies. And, he's one of those guys who's not taking anything for granted. And certainly his play shows. Combined just over 13 minutes. That's almost just a little more than half of what Mitch Marner played. So these guys in a short window, a limited opportunity to get out there and contributed. And that, again, we talk about the top lines, setting the standard, setting the tone for the rest of the roster. In last night's game, it wasn't necessarily the top line setting the standard, nor the bottom line doing the extra work that it was just a solid team effort. And I'll tell you what, Mike, Freddie Anderson, there's a completeness, a calmness, a stoicism, a leadership type of thing to his game right now that is so damn impressive. And we're gushing, OGs, converts. You know how we are. We are a reflection of the team. We are pretty honest. We are pretty natural in our feelings that are typically generated from what the team does. And this is the natural reaction to what we saw last night, because this is what we want. Michael, real quick on Freddie Anderson and what you saw from him and what you think we'll continue to see from this guy.
Well, just to touch on the fourth line for a sec, 13 minutes, it could be the most amount of minutes that a fourth line played this year. So there was a balance in the usage of the four lines. And if they can get that kind of performance out of that fourth line, then they're in good shape. As for Anderson, yes, steady, but also making the big saves. I mean, he has not, he has not had an off minute. And like in game 2, I don't think he was to blame for any of the 4 goals. It was more his defense putting him in bad situations. And last night, even though he gives up a goal 52 seconds after, it was a defensive breakdown that led to it. And when you put a goalie in an impossible situation, most of the time he's unable to stop it. That one save on Pasternak with the stick. At the poke check on that one, with the poke check with the butt end of his stick, which was unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, right now Anderson is winning the goalie battle over Rask, but before the series, looking at it, he would have had to for them to have a chance to win this series.
We forget about these things, but Tuukka Rask was supposed to be the next goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was in the system, and he was traded for an individual who is more legendary than you. Name him, Mike.
Andrew Raycroft.
Andrew Raycroft. He did what he could in an era that was just awful.
Yes, and traded by the current Bruins assistant general manager, who used to be the Leafs general manager, John Ferguson Jr.
Who did he get Tuukka Rask for? I remember I was going down to the 2007 draft in Columbus. That was the draft. Pat Kane, first overall. And we were on our way down there. We were going through nowhere, Michigan. And we heard on the radio that Tuukka Rask was acquired by the Maple Leafs for. Do you remember who was part of that trade? Was that true?
No, Tuukka Rask was a first round.
Vesa Toskala. The Leafs had acquired. The Leafs acquired Vesa Toskala while we were on our way down to Michigan to cover the 2007 draft. Right. Did that trade have implications that could have resulted in the Leafs getting Logan Couture?
In a way, they traded a first round pick to San Jose for Vesa Toskala. Then San Jose used the first round pick to move up into the first round to pick Logan Couture. But the first round pick in itself ended up being Lars Eller, who won a Stanley Cup with
Have you
Washington
been to Columbus before? Yeah.
Have I been to
Yeah,
Columbus? No, I've never.
Hotel down there. It was once the biggest hotel in the United States, the Renaissance or something. If we have any OGs or listeners from that area, big monolithic thing, but beautiful inside. And that's where all of the NHL people were when they weren't over at the Nationwide Arena or whatever they call it. And everybody was there. Gretzky and Shanahan and all these people who were just getting into being executives and managers. And over in the corner, JFJ and Paul Maurice was kind of twiddling their thumbs. Nobody wanted to talk to them. Even myself, a Leaf guy, there to cover Pat Kane being selected number one, and just because he was a London Knight, and I was doing this for CTV London. Even I didn't really want to go talk to them. It was a really embarrassing time for the organization, but here we are. And last night was anything but embarrassing. It was motivating and inspiring. And these are the types of moments that you dream of having your hockey team be a part of. And they were last night. It was a special thing. And I want to see more of it, Mike, because what we saw last night, I truly believe the Leafs are capable of doing more of. A couple of things, the particulars. The Leafs outshot, but they dominated the Bruins in the faceoff circle, 2 for 3 on the power play. We've gone on ad nauseum about how the Leafs need their power play to click for them to do anything successfully in the playoffs. We're not brain surgeons for that. Clearly, we're not brain surgeons, but that's just the truth. And 2 for 3 on the power play, they made it happen. 42 hits. 16 block shots. They didn't lead the giveaway statistic last night. Some people think these things are overrated, but they are not. They are important. And the Leafs last night, not 1 ounce of intimidation against the Bruins, especially coming after that game too. Very impressive. We got to wrap it up soon, Mike. So a couple more thoughts from you.
Yeah, I mean, they really sold out in terms of effort, and that again. A bounce back after game 2 was extremely important. Had they performed as they did in game 2, I think we'd be writing or singing the funeral dirge or listening to the funeral dirge of this team. But now now there is life. Now for them to be able to be in a position of strength, they need to repeat that kind of effort in game 4 and get up 3-1 in the series, because it's going to be tough. This team's always had a problem winning at TD Garden, and that is why game 1 was so big. But if they can get up 3-1 in the series, and we've seen game 4s before, like last year, where they had an opportunity with Patrice Bergeron out of the lineup and lost. And then made the rally from 3-1 down to force game 7. This is where you've got the opportunity to put the Bruins in a bad situation to be down 3-1, and you need everybody to buy in and do what they need to do for them to win the game.
I know we always think that the Reaper is lurking, and that could still be true, but what's different now when compared to last year's series with the Bruins, and even going back to 2013, it still has an impact, folks. The Leafs aren't playing from a position of weakness. They lead the series as opposed to being down in the series. 13 and 2018, the Leafs were down 0-2 coming home. The Leafs are now up 2-1 in a position to go up 3-1. And that is, that's spectacular stuff. And I hope this team is good. And I just want to see it continue to play, continue to grow, and get as far as it possibly can in this particular journey towards a Stanley Cup. To prove to people just how effective it can be and how close it is to winning to going all the way, but also prove to themselves just how good they can be. No dumbass shit last night, Mike. Do you think the refs, the league, warned the teams ahead of time? Look, this is the marquee matchup in all of the playoffs. Everyone's watching. No more nonsense.
That's possible, and to your point, it is the marquee matchup because you can tell that the networks consider that because obviously on Hockey Night in Canada, it's you're getting Houston and Craig Simpson, and in the U.S. You have Doc Emmerich doing the play-by-play. Unfortunately, with Mike Milbury, who is about as fair and balanced as
I feel sorry
as
for the
CNN.
Americans who have to watch that guy. Honestly, it's not much better sometimes up here, but it is what it is. Take them with a grain of salt. Whatever.
Luckily, Doc Emmerich is one of the best announcers, and he's the one you hear most often. So, but it is an important focal point series, and obviously with Tampa down 3-0 to Columbus, and also with Pittsburgh down 3-0 to the Islanders, those series may be over tonight. So the focus on this series will be even more. I mean, the Leafs can't be concerned about that. What they need to do is just focus on how they played in games 1 and in game 3 and be able to repeat that. What you're going to expect from the Bruins in game 4, and we'll talk about this tomorrow, is you're probably going to get another ferocious physical effort from them. They can't do that every game. It's just impossible. I mean, in the Islanders-Pittsburgh series, the Islanders were beating up the Penguins. You can't maintain that level of effort for a 7-game series. You'll have your players dropping like flies, but it's an important game 4, and the Bruins will probably step up their effort like the Leafs have stepped up their effort in game 1 and 3.
The fire in Andreas Johnsson's eyes, ferocious and frightening. I think he's ready for whatever the Bruins want to bring on. Whether the rest of the team has his back or not, him and Kasperi Kapanen and Trevor Moore and Mitch Marner, these guys are just as hungry as the Bruins are. And if the Bruins want to be overly physical in game 4, that's fine. Nazem Kadri's not going to be on the ice, so you're not going to have any, impulsive retaliatory madness happen, or we hope it won't, on behalf of any other player. Let the Bruins do crazy shit to themselves and get on the power play and continue that momentum that you created or you started in game 3, going 2 for 3 with the man advantage. Michael, the Leafs are the biggest team in all of hockey. There's no question about that. The Bruins, well, they play in a city that is arguably the best sports city in North America. All they do is win championships, for God's sakes. Your Red Sox just won recently, Michael, and my Patriots. But what I'm saying, though, is this is the marquee matchup. And for all those years the Leafs weren't in the playoffs were, okay, great. The biggest team in hockey is in the playoffs now. And you haven't seen anything until the Leafs can win a series and go on and then win another series. We are part of something that could grow into something bigger and better and totally incredible beyond our wildest imagination. And I want to see it. I want to be a part of it. And what the Leafs did last night tells me there is a chance it could happen, but they have to continue playing that way. Mike, thank you so much for your contributions, my friend. We're having a blast with the Leafs Convo podcast. OGs, converts, new people to this project, please like and subscribe to this particular video and browse around the YouTube channel. We've got a lot of content, and as long as the Leafs are doing well, we have much more content coming your way. Michael, take it easy, buddy. We would like to thank Vanguard Northeast Realty in Scarborough, title sponsor of the Leafs Convo, demonstrating passion for the industry and a superior level of excellence in selling, leasing, and marketing your property. Vanguard Northeast Realty.